I looked at over 1,000 images shortlisted for the Astronomy Photographer of the Year competition to see what gear is used by the best astrophotographers in the world producing the most amazing images. In this video, I'm going to look specifically at what dedicated astronomy cameras were used for planetary, solar and lunar imaging to see what we can learn. If you want to take away this data in a PDF, there's a link below, or else we'll get stuck right into it. So we're going to start by looking overall at planetary, lunar and solar cameras all together because it gives us the biggest data set. So if we look first at brands and manufacturers, the leading brand by some distance is ZWO, followed by Player One Astronomy. So ZWO is a pretty established player, really good reputation, been around for a while. Player One Astronomy, kind of a relatively new kid on the block that's come through recently, and we'll dig more into the recent data in a second. You also have regular DSLR and mirrorless camera brands, Sony, Nikon, Canon, and a couple of specialist makers of scientific cameras like QHY. So turning now to the models, by far over the 8 years, the top model is the ZWO ASI 174mm. This is a good, affordable monochrome camera that works well for solar, lunar and planetary imaging. It's relatively old, it was released in 2015, but it is still available now. Second is the 178, which was also released in 2015, but is now discontinued. And that's the same with the 290 and the 120 MC at the bottom, all released 2015, all discontinued. So the only ZWO model there that you can still get is the 174 up top. Then you have the newer Player One model in third. Since so many of those models are actually discontinued, let's look at the more recent data. So this is for just the last 3 years. So you can see the top two models now are coming from Player One Astronomy. So their Uranus C camera, their Apollo M Max camera, which is a specific range for solar imaging. Then you have the ZWO cameras plus Canon, etc. So what we're going to do now is dive right into solar specifically. So the top brand for solar cameras from this data is ZWO again. However, if we jump straight to the last 3 years, smaller data set, but more recent, Player One Astronomy comes up top with ZWO in second. Now in terms of models, you can see the A74mm from ZWO's top over the 8 years. If we go straight into narrowing that down to the last 3 years, then you've got the Player One Astronomy Apollo camera up top, followed by the Neptune model. So the Player One Astronomy models are really coming through on that data for solar imaging. So we turn now to photographing the moon. What cameras are going to work there? So for this, again, ZWO way out front. If we then look at this for the last 3 years, ZWO is still way out front, so not the same as with solar where they've been sort of overtaken. Here they're still leading. So the top models overall, again, it's going to be the same models we've looked at with the 174 up top, then a range of discontinued models plus the Player One Uranus model. As for models for the last 3 years, you've got the Player One Uranus and the same ZWO models right there. So now photographing the planets. Brands, again, ZWO out front, the usual players below, but switch around. If we look at the last 3 years, Player One Astronomy is overtaken, followed by ZWO. So this is similar to what we saw with solar cameras. So the top models overall, it's the same ones we've been looking at, the 174 from ZWO, the Player One Uranus C. And then looking at the last 3 years, we've got top, by quite some distance actually, for planetary imaging, the Player One Uranus C camera, followed by the Player One Astronomy Saturn and the ZWO 462 monochrome. So overall, with solar and planetary imaging, we can see that cameras from Player One Astronomy are becoming the most popular and are overtaking the established player in ZWO. For lunar, ZWO seems to be retaining that grip and doing best. Obviously, both these manufacturers have great cameras that are really delivering, and they often use the same sensors in these cameras. If you want more analysis like this, there's a link to a gear cheat sheet below, which you can take away. I've also done a similar video that's focused on dedicated astronomy cameras for deep sky imaging, which you can check out here. Bye.